Ladies and gentlemen, several things are now very clear in Linda Wananchi. EDWIN Sifuna is going to be their presidential candidate in 2027. And I want to ask you this question. Would you vote for EDWIN Sifuna if you were to find his name on the ballot in 2027? The other thing which is also very clear in Linda Wananchi is that Babu Owino is going to be their candidate for Nairobi. Of course, even their gubernatorial candidate for Taita Taveta was also unveiled yesterday. And the other thing which is also very clear is that James Orengo is going to be the party leader, the Linda Wananchi party leader, because Linda Wananchi is being changed into a political party. But there's one thing which is not very clear. Who is going to be EDWIN Sifuna's running mate? And the question is, who would you prefer to be EDWIN Sifuna's running mate? There is Kalonzo Musyoka, who was with Raila Amolo Odinga for a very long time. Then there is Ndindi Nyoro, a man who was projected to play a role in this camp, but he's not been playing any role up to now. Would you prefer Matiang'i to be the deputy? Because I'm starting to think of late that EDWIN Sifuna is going to team up with RIGATHI GACHAGUA. Because a combination of EDWIN Sifuna and RIGATHI GACHAGUA, that is the mountain and the Luhya nation, voting as a bloc, they don't need any other vote. That ticket will send William Ruto home. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the possibility of one man in the name of John Methu, the senator for Nyandarua. Is John Methu the secret card RIGATHI GACHAGUA is wielding against William Ruto in 2027? Before I do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Ladies and gentlemen, when one man, the Murang'a governor, Irungu Kang'ata, joined Linda Wananchi, most people had hoped that he would become the automatic running mate. But there's a request he made to Sifuna, Orengo and Babu Owino, that they should look for one man, RIGATHI GACHAGUA.
Repeat, Sifuna can't go far without consulting regional elders. Like where I come from, he needs to talk to Wamunyoro. Because without Wamunyoro blessings, he can't go beyond him. That's a real politic. That's the bottom line. All right, folks, let's go to the mic.
The reason Irungu Kang'ata did that is because he knew that without RIGATHI GACHAGUA, nobody will be able to climb the mountain. And then at some point, they wanted to go to the mountain in order to allow for campaigns. What did RIGATHI GACHAGUA tell him? To stop. And RIGATHI was right. Because had RIGATHI GACHAGUA allowed them to go, probably they would have taken the credit for that particular win. So in my view, RIGATHI didn't want them to take credit. RIGATHI wanted to stamp his authority. And that's why I strongly believe that EDWIN Sifuna and RIGATHI GACHAGUA will work together. And in politics, there are certain signs you can always read. Raila Odinga never had time for GACHAGUA. But Sifuna always had time for GACHAGUA. Everybody in ODM, including the ones in Linda Wananchi today, most of them called RIGATHI GACHAGUA Gashetha. EDWIN Sifuna never did that. Maybe there's something EDWIN Sifuna knew long time ago, which we don't. But the law is restricting RIGATHI GACHAGUA, which means RIGATHI GACHAGUA might not be on the ballot. Therefore, he cannot be a running mate. So the only option for him is to enter into a coalition. So I'm foreseeing a coalition between EDWIN Sifuna, Linda Wananchi, and DCP, RIGATHI GACHAGUA. But because RIGATHI GACHAGUA is tied somewhere, he is grooming someone. And the person RIGATHI GACHAGUA is grooming is John Methu. So why do I strongly believe that the ticket of Sifuna and Methu is something which is being worked on. Number one, game of numbers. You see, there is no way Edwin Sifuna and the team can win the presidency without Mount Kenya. There's a very strong Mount Kenya factor in 2027. Because let's say, or let's assume, Linda Wananchi decides that they're going alone. Then Rigathi decides to team up with Kalonzo. That split cannot guarantee them a win. In that case, William Ruto is going to win. And Rigathi understands this. In fact, I'm starting to like Rigathi Gachagua's brand of politics. He's being practical. He knows. So the only way for him is to agree with Sifuna. And I think that is something which they are currently working on. So the person is John Methu because of game of numbers. Someone was telling me that Rigathi Gachagua really wanted Ndindi Nyoro to join him so that he could mentor Ndindi Nyoro. But Ndindi Nyoro on the voting day took off. The other day he also took off. And of course, he's not been courageous enough to associate with Rigathi Gachagua. Methu took that chance. And that's why today, even in the mountain, Methu is highly regarded. In fact, John Methu is now the face of Mount Kenya politics. Number two, for this team to win, they need the Gen Zs. There's the question of the influence of the young people. Because in Olkalau, people who were on the line were mostly the elderly, the women, and the millennials. The Gen Zs were not there. But this team believes that they can actually persuade the Gen Zs to their side. And the only way to persuade Gen Zs to their side is by coming up with a team of young people. If you look at Edwin Sifuna, do you think he's not appealing to the young people? What about Methu? He's appealing to the young people. Because of that, they want him. And I think if you are to compare Methu, Sifuna, Kalonzo, Methu might appeal to young people more than any other person. Number three, there is something which is also happening. There is the generational change politics. I think Edwin Sifuna and the team are trying to listen to what the young people told them during the finance bill protest of 2024. That they want a new set of political players. So they want to get rid of the old guards. So how do you get rid of old guards when you still have them? It's not possible. So someone like Orengo will just be there to offer advice, like party leader, you know. So the idea is to bring the generational change politics. And that's why in Nairobi they're pushing for Babu. In Taita Taveta they unveil their candidate. We are waiting for them to unveil more candidates so that we can see. And importantly, there is what is called the winning formation. You see, running for the presidency and winning it is different. William Ruto is not a pushover. William Ruto is one of the few political leaders in the Republic of Kenya who understands real politics. So to defeat Ruto in 2027, you must have a clear winning formation. And what is the winning formation for the opposition? Number one, they must unite. Number two, they must get the numbers right. So it means you must have a lawyer, you must have a Kikuyu, and the two should be able to attract. Like for example, if Rigathi was Sifuna's running mate, he'll get a lot of resistance from the Luo Nation. And of course, even from other audience strongholds, based on what Raila used to tell them. But now, if you have Methu as Sifuna's running mate, he may not have those pushbacks because he's totally different. So for them to get the winning formation right, if you are to bring Kalonzo, there are people who would say that you can't replace Ruto with Kalonzo. Which brings to my last point, which is fresh start. It would be easy to sell the team like a team that represents change. That's why Methu fits that bill. Not Matiang'i, not Kalonzo. Let me ask you as I leave. Do you think the ticket of John Methu and EDWIN Sifuna can win? Let me hear your thoughts on this. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.